सर्वं योगी रामसुरत्कुमारार्पणमस्तु। Now, we have been able to chant this powerful mantra together again for one more session, which I think is a great, great blessing. We could have easily missed it for some reason or the other. But despite all the temptations of the work and the demands for other reasons, we were still able to chant together, especially this Sandhya Kalam, the twilight, the evening twilight of the day, very special for puja, japa, meditation. There's a very strong spiritual current in the atmosphere, a great blessing from all the gods. We have been going through different experiences of different devotees in different circumstances. How the grace of Bhagwan, how the Nama of Bhagwan, the glory of his love expresses itself in different ways. Now we see that this ashram built by Bhagwan, though he did not live here, he was coming and giving darshan. Bhagwan would often say that the whole ashram is filled with his Father's power and grace. Sometimes he would also say the entire cosmic work is being done from here. He had also said that he could do much better work without the burden of his body. True to his word, we see a very powerful Shakti permeating the whole space, that often people used to come and tell me that the long awaited result of some work, some interview, or some bridegroom or bride for their daughter or son, as soon as they entered the ashram, they would get the happy news, the happy result of their efforts. Just mere thought would immediately materialize in action because of the power of the place. Such is the glory of the power of Bhagwan. I remember once, soon after his Samadhi, in the first few years after the Samadhi, one day I was sitting there outside doing my japa, and suddenly a man came running. He was panting for breath. And he looked terrible in the sense that He was sweating profusely and he was trembling and there were tears streaming down. His hair disheveled, his clothes coming off. I had my shock just looking at him. But then, beyond all this, there was such ecstatic happiness, smile on his face. And he was saying, Amma, I want to share something. I said, okay, sit down. I know something has happened to you. Please tell me. Just take a breath or two. Calm down and tell me. He was able to sit so naturally that one could not even guess there was something wrong with him before that. He just sat there by my side and said, Amma, I was working as the jeep driver of the electricity board, Tiruvannamalai. I had an accident, after which the lower portion right down from the hip became useless. There was no power in the muscles. I was not able to walk. And I had to sit in a wheelchair. And I lost my job. I could no more drive the jeep. It was okay initially, but after that, there was no income at all. And my wife and children were suffering. And every day, it had been hell for me, just watching my children and my wife, unable to even eat properly. I felt so terrible, but then electricity board is near here in Tiruvannamalai, Ramannagar, so I would often slip into the ashram and chant his name and pray to him before the accident. So after the accident, I started again to chant his name and I was praying and praying and praying, but nothing seemed to happen. Now 2 years have passed and I had been going through hell, one hell after the other. Finally, I got so angry, I wheeled myself to the ashram. I was so wild with Bhagwan. Why wouldn't he come down and bless me? What would he lose by blessing me? And I was calling out, I was crying out his name day and night. Doesn't he have a heart? What is the point? Sometimes I felt like suicide. And something drove me on. And finally, when I entered the ashram, I was on fire. Fire of anger, disappointment, frustration. I wheeled myself. I did not know where I got the power. I wheeled myself fast up to the Swagat Mandap. And then somebody lifted me into that. And then I screamed, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, what are you doing? How can you be a Mahatma if you don't have the heart? Can't you hear my cries? I screamed and screamed and screamed like a madman. I fell down from the wheelchair. I almost collapsed, but then I don't know where I got the power from. I started to roll on the floor, screaming and screaming all the time, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, please save me. Save me from the hell. And I rolled and rolled and rolled the whole Swagat Mandap. And then I ran to him. That's a murti there. I went to him, knelt down, and then cried out, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, you have to do something. You have to do something. Without realizing that he had already done what I wanted, because I was on my feet after the rolling on the floor. When I completed one round, without knowing I had got up, walked all the way, I almost ran to him and knelt down. Before that, I could not move my legs. They were so heavy. The muscles were wasting. And I had no idea, after this rolling down and screaming, I had got up from the floor and I ran to him, knelt down, and I was praying for relief from the suffering, without realizing what had happened already. And suddenly I became aware that I was kneeling down, which I could not have imagined before that. And then I tried to get up, and I could get up easily. And I found myself walking comfortably. And I just couldn't bear the ecstasy of it, and I had to share it with somebody. I had to burst out to someone, share the good news. And I came running, and then I saw you, Amma. Just see, Amma, what Bhagwan has done. No hospital, no operation, nothing, just a scream, a helpless, grief-stricken scream of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And he has given me this gift, the gift of life again, the gift of active life again. Now I could go, I could do some job, earn money, and help my family. He could not talk, he was panting for breath, he was breathless. He somehow managed words in between. He was still in ecstasy. He did not see anybody, he did not narrate it to anyone else. And then, of course, I asked him to have food, but then he wanted to share the good news with his people, so he left immediately. But I understood what energy must be here, what grace, what power to have initiated this kind of transformation, both physical and mental, for him. Such is the Shakti here, which has been quietly helping hundreds of people been coming here. So many people have told me that how their thoughts would materialize immediately here. They didn't have to resort to magic. The magic is already here. I remember once Leela Parthasarathy of Chennai, a school headmistress, also the mother of Sri Parthasarathy, the singer, a famous singer, well known. He had just given a CD of Bhagwan's Nama, sung in different tunes, and that was going to be released that day. There was a function in the ashram, and in the function they were going to release the CD of Nama chanting to different tunes by Sri Parthasarathy, Sandhya and others. So the pandal was full, packed with people, and everything was ready, and it was to be done by Sri Muralidhara Swamiji. So they were all waiting, and then he was there. But Leela Parthasarathy, she had a little longing. She wanted the CD to be released inside Pradhan Mandir in front of Bhagwan, the shrine of Bhagwan. And she was thinking that, oh, they have arranged here. How nice it would be if they could release the CD right in front of Bhagwan there in the Pradhan Mandir. She was just thinking a little deeply about maybe longing. And suddenly, out of nowhere, the clouds gathered above and it started to pour. The whole scene changed in minutes. The dais were shifted and people were shifted inside. And Sri Muralidhara Swamiji was there on the dais, talking, giving a talk, soon followed by his releasing the CD, just as she wanted. She just could not believe it. Minutes before, there was absolutely no hope for this kind of thing. And she was only longing for it, and she knew with certainty it just could not happen. And within minutes, everything had changed. Her longing was fulfilled. Just see the power, the grace, the gift of grace from Bhagwan. And again, there was this Swaminathan, who used to give talks on Paramacharya. He also brought out books of experiences of the devotees with Paramacharya. He has also written a book on Bhagwan, the experience of devotees of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Now that day he happened to be here with his friend Balaji, and they were there, seated in the crowd. And Sri Swaminathan was thinking, what has seen is right in the shrine of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And Sri Muralidhara Swamiji on the dais releasing the CD. And he was thinking, if only I could be given one straight from the hand of Sri Muralidhara Swamiji, the presence of Bhagwan, how nice it would be. That day, that was to be given to Sri Kannanji, IAS. For some reason, he had to leave in a hurry. And Sri Muralidhara Swamiji announced over the mic immediately, when I came in, I saw P. Swaminathan here. Will he please come here and take the CD? P. Swaminathan, Sri P. Swaminathan could not believe his ears that he heard it right. And of course, ecstatic, he also made his way to the dais and got it from the divine Sri Muralidhara Swamiji. His wish was fulfilled. So again, see, these two people narrated, so we came to know about it. But there were many, many people quietly coming and going. We have no idea how their wishes came to be fulfilled. It must have been happening quietly because such is the power, and the power is equally available to everyone. What needed was only the depth of feeling, the depth of longing. Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan was once seated in the Pradhan Mandir in his chair, and I was sitting in the kutir. at this meditation hall over Swagat Mandap. The construction was still going on, and Shri Mani, the then trustee, was calling, telling us quite a few times to come and have a look at it. He was inviting Swami to come and see that, but somehow we didn't make it. And suddenly, when I was sitting there and I saw the activities up there, the meditation hall which was being built, I remembered Mani coming and calling us. So I went near. He's been calling us to come there to see the construction work. Are we not going? When are we going, Bhagwan? Where, Devaki? The meditation hall, Bhagwan, the construction is going on up there. He has been asking us to come. Oh, meditation hall. And then he got wild. He was so angry, he said, "You call one room in the ashram meditation hall? The whole ashram is meditation hall. You want to name one room meditation hall? The whole ashram belongs to my father. My father has filled the ashram with his power and grace. Wherever people sit, they will be able to feel the convergence of their mind. Such is the power of the place, my father's power. The whole ashram is meditation hall." He burst out. I knew. But I was very delighted. Immediately I came and noted it down in my diary. So that's what we see. The play of the power, the play of grace. Today, though Bhagwan is inside the shrine, in the Samadhi, the whole ashram is his physical body. For 7 years I sat near him. And watched the way he worked day after day after day. Smoking, smoking, smoking. At the end of the day, the evening, he would drop 5 or 6 empty cigarette packets into my hand, bless me. Imagine 60 to 70 cigarettes a day. Is it humanly possible? Day after day after day, for 7 years, he had taken up this smoking, this building. Even though it looked physical, a huge hall, a physical building, a physical ashram for all the eyes to see. He was building on a subtle level a huge, tremendous basis for his father's work to continue. He said, this is a power center and the whole cosmic work would be going on from here. He also added, even after dropping his body, in fact, after dropping his body, he would be able to do his father's work much better, if there was such a term. One Shri Priya from Chennai has written an article which I happen to read. She says that only for she has written this article in 1915 to 2015, and she says only 2 years she had been coming to the ashram, that is 2013. And she came to hear about Bhagwan's Nama, and she was visiting, not very often either. Her brother met with an accident and something happened to his leg. There was a hurt. They did many operations. 9 operations had already happened. And there was this pus coming out from the sole of his foot. She used to collect them and clean and bandage. So one day she thought she would come to the ashram and do pada puja to Bhagwan and pray to him so that his brother would be all right, because the 10th operation was fixed a few days after. So she came and did pada puja here. And when she went back, after a few days, the pus stopped coming, oozing out. And what was more, when the doctors were getting ready for the operation, one examination before the operation revealed that the hurt was healing, the wound was healing fast. So the doctors exclaimed, "Now there's no need for an operation right now, let's see." And slowly the wound got completely healed, and her brother started to walk with the help of a stick. At the time she wrote this article, he had already started to walk. He could take quite a few steps with the help of a stick, which they could not think of, they could not dream of before coming to the ashram. She also writes about another incident, a family known to her. Their son, 27 years, youth, he suddenly developed a mental problem. What was more, he was becoming more and more violent, especially on full moon days and new moon days. He would become so violent, he would beat up his own parents and other people at home. That it became hell for those people to live with him. They would be scared of this new moon day and the full moon day. So when she came to know, she just gave a photograph of Bhagwan and said, "Please light 2 incense sticks and offer some flowers. Chant his name and pray to him. Bhagwan will take care of your son. Just pray." And after some time, when she ran into them, they informed her happily that the violence had reduced very much after the picture came, after Bhagwan came to their house, after they started to worship him. The violence of the boy had reduced very much, and that he was healing slowly but definitely. She also she goes on to say in the article that there was a man, 40 years, not getting married at all, and there was no hope at all, no matter how much they tried. And after she introduced them to Bhagwan's photo and Nama, the next time when she came upon them, they said happily that his marriage had already taken place. One could go on narrating incident after incident which depicts the power, the glory of Bhagwan's Shakti that's prevailing in the ashram. And in this place, we have been chanting the powerful Nama of Bhagwan for so many months now, 5 months, which is no small grace. That we were able to do it at all is a great blessing from Bhagwan. And when so many of you, even from home, join us, now or later. We hope that you do join. Imagine the Shakti, the power of Bhagwan that rises from this chanting. And our prayers, constant prayers, day after day after day for the past 5 months. Bhagwan had assured us, promised, no single nama would go waste. Every prayer that we submit to him will have to be answered sometime or the other. Despite all our attempts, sincere, soulful, intense, the disease seems to be spreading, deaths are reported, but still, I would say, and I'm sure the other devotees would join, people who have experienced His grace, that this nama, this prayer, is working upon the world. So many good things must be happening also, which may not be reported because they are not conspicuous. It is the collective karma of the world. We know how the world has been. People had no values. People have forgotten the old values. People have been living as per the dictates of the trickster mind, justifying every action they would do, right from corruption to promiscuity. So here, it is something that we have invited by our karmas, and it's collective karma of the entire world. So it's taking time, but still, every nama that we utter has the power to bring in a transformation. God has not given this kind of situation without its credit. He must be expecting some transformation from us. So He must have marked some time for bringing an end to this suffering. Until then, it would happen suddenly, all of a sudden, on a single nama. Bhagwan would often say, if my Father wants, He would change the whole world overnight. Everything would change. And He would say Ramarajya would come. The Ramarajya, Rama is coming up. Rama's temple is coming up. Ramarajya may not be far away. Bhagwan has assured us we shall appeal to His generosity, the boundless compassion. Bhagwan, we seek a huge grace from you. Please bestow a huge grace upon this world in order to free it from the clutches of this virus, from the grip of this virus, this violent grip.